Howdy folks, I think I got my setup right. We're here today with some broken new cards, because every single new card is broken until it's proven shit. We are gonna play some Morgana first of all. I love I love this prison playstyle. She's so fun. She leaves shackles on your opponent's creatures, which are spells that make your opponent's creatures immobile, can't declare attack or blocks, and they need to pay ever-increasing amounts of mana as you stack up more shackles on an individual creature. Unit rather. We've got our first star power. When you target an enemy, curse it with shackles. Really interesting power, lots of synergies, and lots of synergies with, cards that don't typically go into this sort of Targon fated shell that she's been put into. Swain, Noxus control, Gangplank, Bilgewater control, Ezreal, Piltover and Zorn control. Just like lots of synergy. Morgana wants us to target units, and that's just like a pretty agnostic way to play the game. We have a proactive plan here with our our Startled Stomper has been given Fated, so it's saying like target me, level up your Morgana. But there's lots of intersecting synergies. My first run I played with Lost Chapter. When I'm summoned, refill your spell mana, which I do think is good. I've decided to swap over to Banshee's Veil just because in these sort of like lower adventures, your 1 star and your 1.5 star adventures, I just get the feeling that if my Morgana survives, I can use sort of the fated aspects of the deck to buff her up, and then lifesteal and her level 2 attack trigger will kind of steal games. Speaking of, her level 2 attack trigger is really strong. Curse the strongest enemy that isn't cursed with shackles, and deal 3 to cursed enemies and 2 to the enemy nexus. So we get burn, we get board clear, and we get board control. And these shackles are focus speed, so my opponent cannot free their creatures mid-combat. So, looking really good, looking really fun. I am excited to jump in. I'm level 4. I'm just gonna do a Garen adventure. Honestly, absolutely the biggest thing that I'm looking for out of my initial power is just Bouncing Blades. Bouncing Blades is so good in this deck. You make a 1 mana spell every turn that targets the opponent. Alright, this is really interesting. This is so interesting, God. Okay. Overprepared has some synergies because equipping a unit is targeting it, does count as targeting it. The best defense is a really strong power, just lets you continue to get in with your units, and also has really strong synergy, again, with our buff package. If my Startled Stomper is a 5/2 attack, it becomes a 5/5 again, and the further I boost its power, the harder it is for my opponent to really interact with that sort of thing. Wild Inspiration is a very, very, very strong card, strong power, just in the way that it interacts with like so many of the items and the powers that occur in Path. You're just making fleeting copies and round start copies of so many things. It doesn't have any specific interaction with this deck yet, but I think I'm actually I'm like pretty tempted to take it because again, Bouncing Blades and powers similar to that are just going to work so well with Wild Inspiration that I am going to take it first pick, just sort of like on spec. It currently interacts, I believe, with zero cards in my entire deck, but I'm feeling confident that we can beat the Stony Suppressor fight and find something to make it work. Okay, Morgana in opening hand. I haven't decided yet whether my rule of thumb for mulliganing is to get rid of Morgana or not. We're still on 1 mana. Morgana costs 5 mana. It costs 5 mana. I think I'm going to mulligan her. I'm going to mulligan Hush because this is not an early play. It's a cheap play, but it's not an early play. I'm going to mulligan Blinded Mystic because this would be fine. It's you know, the early part of the mid game you get to cast this, but I think I'd really just rather find some cheap buffs, honestly. Find like maybe a Shield Slam, Shield Vault for our Solari soldiers. I'm feeling pretty I'm feeling pretty smart right here, drawing 2 Shield Vaults. You should try that at home. It's I strongly recommend it. Startle Stomper. Okay, even better. This is actually incredible because we now have a Fated unit gonna get +2/+2 when we target it with this Shield Vault, and then get the item on top of that. So we're going to Solari Soldier to pass to our opponent. We could have just opened past there. God, I wish we'd opened past there. It's fine. This is fine. My opponent played Stony Suppressor, which means all spells cost 1 more. And that's actually, I mean, I think they'll probably trade with this fairly easily, but it's actually kind of good for our deck because it's going to make the shackles that are in their hand cost 1 more. They'll have to pay an extra 50% to get them back. Alright, I think we're kind of just going with the plan as described, so actually are we? If my opponent attacks with this, I can trade, but I would need to let them also attack with the Badger Bear, and I just think I'm like not about that life. I think I'm just going to immobilize the Badger Bear. And because this is focus, I'll have a lethal open attack on my turn. Because this is focus, and because this has overwhelm. Ooh. Okay. I'm happy about this. Yeah, really happy. I could play Lisa and Dolly and shackle my opponent's Badger Bear twice again, actually, because of our star power. Targeting an enemy, this skill counts as targeting an enemy, or this play effect rather. But I just don't see a reason to do that. I don't know what my opponent could have that would make them survive this next turn, but I think I'm just gonna keep up a massive amount of mana. We drew a Morgana there, which is actually something I probably should have been more deliberately aware of before declaring my attack, but we were on full health, so there was no reason to play a sort of whole adventure value Morgana. Sometimes you do want to do. Call an ally to deal 2 to anything. Alright, this is a double targeting spell. That's fun. Your created cards cost 1 less. Okay. Cosmic Youngling is, I mean, this is actually just quite an effective card. 2 mana 1/4. It just wears buffs really, really well. Xenotype Researchers is a completely reasonable card to play in your deck in an early adventure. Theoretically, this is a lot of power, and when your deck is small, that theory often holds up. You will often draw 1 or even 2 Xenotype Researchers buffed cards. We're going to take the Lightning Rush. It has some synergy. Actually, no, it has a lot of synergy. Our Solari Soldier has a Daybreak trigger, Lisa and Dolly has a play trigger, Blinded Mystic has a play trigger, so, you know, Blinded Mystic buffing our Startled Stomper, and then Lightning Rushing it back is going to be just a really powerful series of plays. Alright, here I'm looking for people that target enemies. I'm looking for people that create cards, and also I'm kind of looking for people who target my stuff, because we do have some fated stuff going on there. Alright, no items, so we have Vlad. I think, oh wow, I think Crimson Pact can target like all of my creatures and probably like instantly level up my Morgana. You know, I target 3 of my other creatures, and my opponent and that's 4 targets on its own. We have Nocturne, who doesn't create any cards, doesn't target anything, and neither do any of his followers. Homecoming is a double target spell, but Dancing Droplet and Ari just kind of don't do anything. And I think if I'm going to take 2 cards that don't do anything, I'd rather just take Crimson Disciple, Crimson Awakener, which are fine. And we'll see out. We'll see out. We'll find out if Vlad works in this deck and how well. We've got a gold chest and an item chest. I almost always look at the reward nodes first because it's pretty rare that a battle will be sufficiently imbalanced that I just pick based on which battle is harder instead of on which reward I want. In this case, I definitely want an item chest because I just really think that stacking items on your cards is the way to go. Like that's the strat. All right. Once again, we're mulliganing our 5-mana champion. We're mulliganing Blinded Mystic, and I'm trying to figure out whether or not we sent this Crimson Disciple away. It's a tough question. I think we do, because once again, we have an early play, and we're kind of looking for some shield vaults to just let us chip in for damage, and then eventually we will play a Morgana, and probably be able to kill the opponent quite effectively.
Raise your weapon, Sunwood.
I'm raising my weapon, Sunwood, apparently. One of the things that you sort of need to be aware of in these early adventures is just how little life your opponent starts on. I mean, we are probably going to open attack this next turn, and our opponent will go to 8 life total. God, that's so little life. Okay, actually, I've changed my mind. We're on 3 mana. My opponent has had no plays so far, so they're probably not going to double spell. We're going to Solare Soldier and kind of just spew this Hush. The silence probably won't do anything, but we are going to put a Shackles in our opponent's hand. Actually, I said that. This card's really good against us. We are giving my opponent just a lot of focus spells, but fortunately, I think that's quite a slow way to make your plays, so I'm not too threatened by it. We have no plays unless we draw something here, but at least we only burn 1 mana. This is really interesting. We definitely play the Crimson Disciple, and I think we're playing the Crimson Disciple into the Vladimir. I really would love being able to take as little damage as possible from my opponent's current attack and have the maximum number of units available for Vlad. And I think for that reason, I'm just blessed by snow and stars. I'm just going to chump block with 1 Solare Soldier, and then I'm going to Vlad the other Starlit Seer for 3. And that should be fine. That should be good. We will get a Fated trigger on our Startled Stomper, which is pretty awesome. Yep, sticking with my plan. Actually, 1 of 8. Alright, let's confirm that this works. This should work. So this should get us to 5 of 8. Oh, spicy. And it does. It gets us to 5 of 8. Alright, that's an interesting synergy. I quite like that. We're pretty close to leveling up our Vlad as well. We have a Transfusion in hand. Deals 1 to an ally and gives another ally +2/+2, but I'm not super interested in it because our Fated has already been popped this turn, and it would not even actually level up Vlad. So instead we're going to attack with all, which I think should be lethal. 5/5 here, 3/1, yeah. Alright, we're doing 5. Or that's fine. We're doing 4.
Your taste is impeccable.
Ha. It's a taste pun, folks. I won't explain that one to you, but I think you can get it. I believe in you. Alright. I think that this is a really easy pick for me personally. And here's why. Legion Veteran is the best card. This is going to be a 3-mana 4/5 with upside. We're going to take the Crimson Disciple purely because taking the Legion Veteran will grant us 2 items in our deck. Taking the Crimson Disciple will grant us 4 items in our deck. And it will make any future items on our Crimson Disciple just like more common and more effective. I almost always take a reward that is currently in my deck. Ooh. We keep saying we want shield vaults, and that makes me think that I definitely want to grab this shield vault buff here, especially because, again, item stacking. Mahira, I think I was checking the champion levels, and they gave Mahira Phage, the +2/+2 item, which is confusing to me because I don't really understand. I don't really understand how they expect us to cast an 8-drop in this deck. That seems very, very ambitious. Alright, created cards cost 1 less. And when you target an enemy, curse it with shackles. Our opponent's power is, if they dealt damage to my Nexus this round, they deal 1 to my weakest unit. That definitely makes me want to keep Crimson Disciple around. These are just kind of later plays. We're still on 1 mana, so because we have the attack token turn 1, I'm going to keep this Solari Soldier. Alright.
Bless the faithful and sear the heretics.
Alright, my opponent plays nothing. I am going to play nothing back. I could put this Crimson Disciple in play, but I think I'm just going to save some spell mana and put it into play next turn to get the Shadow Totem copy attacking. That could be a mistake, I'm really not sure. Fortunately, we also grabbed, I think, our only other castable card, which is pretty fun. Should I Dark Binding that? I just don't think I should. It blocks here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They go to 5. This is really good. I'll still have my Crimson Disciple, so they can't really attack, and I'll still have my Dark Binding in hand, so they can't really do very many shenanigans overall. Alright, this is going to deal 1 to my Nexus, and then because of the enemy power, it's going to deal 1 to my weakest unit. So I'm thinking about what my weakest unit is and what I want it to be. I can't change my weakest unit, it's always going to be the Solari Soldier, so that is fine. And I think this time I'm just going to play another Crimson Disciple, and I really think my opponent has no attacks at that point. They agree with me. We've targeted units exactly 0 times. A little bit awkward. Do we have a lethal open attack? We don't. I don't think we do. So we're just going to play our Morgana. We're going to curse their Tusk Speaker just as the biggest unit on their board. I hope they play 1 singular big thing so that we can Dark Binding it. That would be really that would be really good for us if they were to play 1 singular big idiot. Yeah, be still, Bullarnock. And now we have lethal. We have lethal and life gain. Very pleasant. We haven't unlocked.
Embrace this ephemeral triumph.
She said the word ephemeral. We haven't unlocked Stamina 1 yet, which is the level upgrade that heals you 2 after every battle. So if we want any healing at all, we gotta do it ourselves. Alright. We could add Challenger to 4 Blinding Mystics. We could add a Hextech Proto Belt to 2 Otrani Dragon Worshippers, which I have not read, I will need to come back to it. Or we could add Hextech Fabricator to 2 Harsh Winds. Alright, let's read this. 4 mana 3/3, when I'm summoned, heal your Nexus 2 and gain an extra mana gem next round. Powerful card. I am going to go with Blinded Mystic, just to add the most items to our deck. I think all 3 of these are completely fine, completely fair. This targets 2 things, which is very nice. This is extremely mana efficient due to our Proto Belt when we have double 5 mana champions. But the Blinded Mystic targets multiple things, and now with Challenger is also like an effective, genuine removal spell that will be able to kill our opponent's Ash, which is always important. Champion or shop? That's an interesting question. I think our deck has a really good plan. When it comes to the non-champion cards, and that makes me want to go to the shop and pick up a power if I can. First thing I'll check is if there's any cards that are already in my deck in the buy cards tab. I don't really like Chrono Break. Let me be specific. I don't really like Reset. The whole point of powers is that they add power to your deck without you having to draw them. You don't have to use any cards at all, and that's really powerful. So the idea of using a power to create cards in my deck, I'm like, I don't think that's nearly as effective as really anything else. Duelist, when you summon an ally, give it Challenger this round. Yeah, I mean, can't hurt. That's an unexciting but relatively high tier common. At least now that they have moved, they have moved all of the good powers out of common. Rest in peace. We're going to cut our Mihira for exactly the reasons I said earlier. I have no idea how they believe you're going to cast this card. it's 8 mana. It's 8 mana. God. It's been a while since even my 1-star champs got to 8 mana, or it feels that way at least. Interesting. This is really interesting. So I feel like the sort of like the most apparent play. I don't like using the word obvious, but that feels inaccurate to me. I think like the most apparent play is to observe that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and spending all your mana every single turn to play a 1-drop, a 2-drop, a 3-drop, a 4-drop is really good. I do wish that, I could use what I think is the really powerful sort of combo of Startled Stomper plus Shield Vault. And because my Solari Soldier, we don't have the attack token, so it's if we do want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, we're not necessarily going to be able to use this Daybreak unless my opponent has a turn 1 play like an Omen Hawk. So I'm not really sure. I think I'm just sending back this Solari Soldier, and yeah, we'll see how we go. Interesting. This is a really good 2, 3, 4, 5, which does make me feel better. Oh. My opponent had a turn 1 play, but we have a Solari Soldier. Aren't you glad I didn't mulligan this Solari Soldier? We'll get to Startled Stomper with Challenger. Ooh, no, we'll get to Crimson Disciple with Challenger. We aren't going to be targeting this anyway, and Challenger Ephemeral like this is just, we get to do it all. Does this trigger when I survive damage, deal 1 to the enemy nexus? This unit dies when it strikes or when the round ends. I don't think this will deal 1. I think it does die. Or rather, it doesn't survive damage, technically. Let's test that out. Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. That's really interesting. I guess it survived the damage, just not the... I don't know. We get to keep curving out. My opponent has double Omen Hawk buffs on their Omen Hawk, which is just... This is what open beta was like. It was just Omen Hawks everywhere. Omen Hawks absolutely everywhere. The raw terror of your opponent. getting multiple Omen Hawk triggers on a Braum. Okay, my opponent has all the mana they could possibly want, but they also really want to play this Ash. So I think I'm going to play my Blinded Mystic, grant my Crimson Disciple +1/+1, silence an enemy follower, and then challenge the Ash if they play it, which they shouldn't, but the AI is not that good with just passing. The AI almost never passes unless it actually has nothing to do. Less so in the higher adventures, I find. I'm not really sure why. I'm not really sure what quality of the AI results in that, but happens. Alright. Again, I think like I'm just going to make the most apparent play. Just get our Morgana in. My opponent will probably unshackle the Tavern Keeper and... Oh, what? Oh, gosh. Okay, yeah, I forgot that was 6. Oop. We are going to attack with everything and should win. Or we might get frostbitten, but no, not today.
Our suffering was not in vain.
You didn't suffer at all, Morgana. We won that match so easily. I think all my units survived except the ephemeral Crimson Disciple, so who knows. Okay. This, I think, is pretty straightforward. Morgana works excellently with our deck and has a relic on her, and I know that sounds silly, but like some champions don't necessarily... are not the most important cards in their deck, and you can end up in a situation where when you're choosing to item stack, you end up choosing to item stack on your other champion, or, you know, maybe spread some around. In this case, Morgana has great synergy with our deck. We want more copies of her in our deck, and particularly her champion spell is excellent, which means I'm never that stressed about the idea of having too many Morganas. Phage is just the best option here, not because it's a rare, but just because like it puts a lot of stats on our life stealer, and that's also pretty much what these commons do, but less efficiently. Get another power. Ooh, inheritance. This is a new one. When an ally dies, grant its power to unit in hand. Or we could do Fury, or we could do Raiding Party. Or we could mulligan, mainly for wild inspiration reasons. Gosh. What do I want to do? I think this would be good, but I'm sitting on 3 rerolls and I'm just wondering if we can't do better, because even at common, as I mentioned, there's bouncing blades that we could roll. Game starts. I'm a sparring student. Grow my power to match my health, or an Emperor's Dais. These are very weak. These are much weaker powers than the previous lot. But I think I am going to make the Aspiring Student. Just kind of nice to get on board early and maybe be able to use our spells a bit more greedily. Use our cards, just try to hold them for max value. We're going to go Dawn Speakers because I want an item chest more than I want to cut a card. I don't think I'll need any healing. My foe is going to summon a Dawn Speakers. Say 3 mana 1/4. Let's see if I can remember the card text. 3 mana 1/4 that says round end. If an ally died this turn, give your units +1/+1. Alright. Early play. I think we send these 2 back. I think these are later plays. These are our sort of card advantage plays for us, but we want to get on board first. I think I definitely keep the Crimson Disciple, and turn 2 we're going to go, our Sparring Student will go up to 3/3 and we'll get 2 Crimson Disciples. We'll get a really good attack in. I'm trying to figure out if we mulligan the Lisa and Dolly or not. I don't think we do. I think that's just going to be a fine turn 3 play that double shackles as this is something our opponent has going on. Oh, it has tough. I forgot about that. We will take 1. I'm really not sure what we're doing next turn. My opponent has 2 mana. can Startled Stomper. I don't. So we do this, then this, and then when on our turn when we have 4 mana, maybe that's when we'll play a Startled Stomper and save some spell mana so that on turn 5 we can get a really good Vladimir. That feels acceptable to me. Dauntless Vanguard, interesting. Should we? Yeah, this feels right. This feels correct. Mark 2 damage on their Vanguard. Nothing dies this turn, which is kind of nice for missing Dawnspeaker's value. And we get in 3 damage. Alright, that's a great target for our Lisa and Dolly. Very happy to do that. And we'll probably... will I trade? What will I trade? When will I trade? When will you wear wigs? Ooh, Shield Vault. Okay. Okay, this is great. Because we get to Startled Stomper, set up for our Vladimir, Shield Vault, buff our Startled Stomper. Yeah. Hell yeah, this feels good. My opponent cannot unshackle either of their Badger Bears this turn. And I'm honestly just trying to figure out where this Startled Stomper goes. Where does it go? God. We're attacking with all. I think we can leave this unblocked and this... Or, sorry. I think we're going to challenge this. Get rid of their Dawn Speakers. I don't love how wide their board is getting, especially because next turn they will be able to probably unshackles. Or, sorry, they can't unshackles both of their creatures, but they're going to be throwing off the chains a bit. When did we draw a Solari Soldier? Oh, we drew it off Shield Vault. Why can't I forget this name? Yeah, Shield Vault. Alright. My opponent has 3 mana, so they can uncurse one of their Badger Bears. I wish it would show you which one. That's actually really pretty bad design. Don't love that. Okay. It is... This is a play effect, so it's going to kill our Sparring Student if we play it. I think that's fine. We could also Crimson Awakener, which would not kill our Sparring Student because this is a summon effect. Excuse me. Maybe we should... God, this is a complicated turn. Of course, we could also Solari Soldier. What are we going to do about this Badger Bear? Huh. You know what? I'm just gonna do this. Get our Faded Trigger. Be able to block without Vladimir. It's gonna be really good. Oh, our Sparring Student survived. Okay, I guess. Oh, it's because this is a skill specifically. Like, it is a play, but it's a skill on play. Yeah, that's fine. We'll trade. Yeah. Well, we could trade or we could chump.
Focus.
Actually, yeah, chumping is just better. This Startled Stomper is going to kill my opponent really quickly on 12 life. Ooh. Can we Solari Soldier, Crimson Disciple, Lightning Rush, our ephemeral Crimson Disciple? Yep, I don't see why not.
Raise your weapon, Sunwood.
Alright, my opponent has unshackled both of their Badger Bears, but when we Lightning Rush, we will reshackle.
Blood isn't a toy, dear.
we will reshackle the 5/4. And that will let us get in with a good flat attack. We do want to put Vlad after all our other units, just because he will level up from this combat. It's very likely.
Punish
We
transgression.
have 2 challenges here, and I'm just trying to think of what I want to do with them. And I feel that it's something like this.
Bottoms up. Sunward. Kneel before me.
I love Vladimir. They have gone through so many design iterations with Vladimir. He's been buffed and reworked.
Your taste is impeccable.
Thank you, Vladdy. Right, our reward is item stacking. Item stacking. We are getting 4 copies of Mana Deposit. Slurry Soldier also like has great synergy with Mana Deposit. I know this makes a created card. And this is has good synergy. Actually, 1/0 and Deathless. Yeah. That's fairly synergistic. It is a little embarrassing to me that we we continue to have literally 0 created cards when I first picked that. Hey, Shield Vault here to save the day. I feel like I'm always saying I want a Shield Vault in my opener, and now we're going to get free Slipstreams. Alright, I take it back, I'm a genius. Memory Game is great in this deck specifically because we have Wild Inspiration. Taking a quick scroll over these to see if there's anything that immediately jumps out as busted, anything that triggers sort of alarm bells in my brain, or anything that is already in our deck, which is always handy, and often I'll find myself buying 1 copy of something already in my deck just to get the items, not even really wanting the extra cards. Shop, champion item chest. I think an epic champion item chest is probably the play. We should be able to get something good, like a Mana Deposit on a Morgana or something like that. And Kindly Tavern Keeper seems like a pretty easy fight. Alright. I think with this hand, we're going to mulligan these 2. Maybe that's wrong, maybe we should keep the Crimson Disciple, but I just think like turn 2 Startled Stomper into hopefully a Shield Vault into Blinded Mystic is just gonna be really effective, and we're also gonna get a turn 3 Startled Stomper and a turn 5 Blinded Mystic because of our Memory Game. Thank you, Kindly Tavern Keeper. Kindly Tavern Keeper is my best friend. Look at how kindly he is. God, that's hot. Hey, Omen Hawk. Scarthane Stefan. Wonder if that's the who the 3 mana 2/4 is. Anyway, great Startled Stomper here. We will double block. I know we have a Vladinan. Oh, they didn't go for it. Alright, even better. We get a 1 mana Startled Stomper, and we get to play the 3 mana spell of our choosing if we don't want to. Interesting. Interesting. I don't think there's any good combination of targets for this Lightning Rush. At least not that I can see off the top of my head. I'm sort of poking through the permutations, and you know, you could something like target the I just don't like really targeting any of my creatures right now. So instead we're going to Dark Binding the Mighty Poro, put a 4 mana Shackles on it, and stun it this round. And then I think we have a really good attack. I am going to offer the trade with my sparring student. I read a heuristic from a Carmen Handy who works at Wizards of the Coast, and she was saying, as general practice, you should be attacking a turn earlier than you think. And that's really stuck with me. I wonder if we should just... should we just keep memory gaming Dark Bindings for as long as possible? No, that's probably incorrect. We will get another one next turn. We'll take the other one next turn. But I think we're going to go Solari Soldier, Morgana, Dark Binding.
Bless the faithful and sear the heretics. Warm hearts and hot
Alright,
soup.
my opponent can no longer unshackle their Mighty Pora, which is handy. We are going to curse the Kindly Tavern Keeper. I'm not sure, but I feel like they'll have an additional play. Yeah, there we go. And now we'll Dark Binding it. I think... I'm not really sure what sense told me that they'd have another play. Maybe just paranoia, but I feel like they've kind of been using a lot of their mana every turn. And turn 5 is like a pretty common double spell turn.
Battle. Follow the horizon.
Why did I put Morgana first? I don't know. Sometimes I have these feelings about attacker positioning, and I truly have no idea what informed them. Ooh, we get another Dark Binding. This is getting fun. I think it's... So we could Vlad for 3 and keep everything around. Oh, actually we could Vlad for 4 because Startled Stomper has Fated. And that would level our Morgana. Yeah, I want to level our Morgana, so I'm going to do this, even though we're giving up the Dark Binding. This just sounds good to me.
I've dressed for the occasion.
Boom. Fated, Morgana level up.
You will know suffering!
Morgana does not seem like she's having a great time ever. Oh, we level up Vlad. Wait, what? Really? I guess then I guess then put him forward towards his level up. Alright. Alright. Now we get to thought we had the attack token, honestly. Now we get to, I think, do something like this. And if my opponent somehow has like triple freeze, I'll have a transfusion up, which should do the trick. Transfusion double targeting our Startled Stompers is pretty hot. Like, that's an interesting idea.
Your taste is impeccable.
Puns. Alright, what's our reward? Ooh, okay. We might have found the line. I've talked several times already about the utility of item density and the fact that taking cards that are already in your deck is sort of a quadratic increase. But this feels really bad to me. No overwhelm, no, just no nothing really. And I really like the look of this Legion Grenadier as a cheap drop that is going to draw me probably either 1 or 2 cards in this adventure. Love that. How many copies do we have of our champions? 3 Morganas, 2 Vlads. Alright. Interesting. God, this is interesting. God. Okay. We could grant Spell Shield, Lifesteal to something like a Vlad. That's interesting from Bonded Bucklers. We could Reckoner Mark Morgana and turn her into a 7/8 that will hit an enemy. We can Focusing Crystal Morgana. But we've got a good number of spells. We've got some good spells in this deck. We can memory game them. Nah, I think I'm just going to Reckoner Mark Morgana. I think that my opponent is on Garen, and I just really don't think they'll have anything that is bigger than a 7/8. So we will be chill to play our Morgana and not have it just die. I'm looking at copies. Sometimes I'll want to do something like cut a blinded mystic, just because it makes my deck the most consistent. It cuts 4 cards from my deck, cuts the max number of cards from my deck. I'm instead going to cut Crimson Awakener, just because I think it's the worst card. I'm not really excited about the idea of, you know, doing some shenanigans with Crimson Disciple of Vlad. It's not really doing it for me. If the foe has the attack token, grant the foe's units 1/0. Okay. I love how the little flavor description, the first sentence is Garen unsheaths his sword, and it's like, oh, thank God. When his sword is out of frame, I have no idea who Garen is. Just instant facial blindness. I'm like, what is this unholy blend of every single Hollywood actor with his slightly shaggy hair because he's a soldier? Wowie. Alright, we can make no plays. We attack, we pass. Alright, I think I'm happy to, we could play Legion Grenadier, excuse me, and trade. That would be fine. We could play Crimson Disciple and blank my opponent's attack. They would not attack because we'd have an ephemeral that could block. I think I like, it's funny, I started that sentence and I was thinking Crimson Disciple, but that actually sounds bad. I think I'd rather trade. Or at least rather have the opportunity to trade. So what's the plan now? Probably Legion Grenadier, and then depending on what my opponent plays, we can either Crimson Disciple if they play, you know, nothing on board, or we can Shield Vault if they play something that we need to do a big murder on. I should do Crimson Disciple first to get our Sparring Student to a 3/3. Just in case that's relevant for any strike cards my opponent has. I played that entire line, and I needed to play the Legion Grenadier first if I wanted to be open towards Shield Vault. But actually, I think I really like this. Yeah. So we're going to do something like this. Yeah, that feels good. Putting our opponent to 14, which they do need to start worrying. My opponent needs to start panicking. Because I also have just like the world's fullest grip. Never seen a grip like this, baby. Yep, I'm going to use our fleeting card for yet further card advantage. And making my opponent's attacks like frankly very unimpressive.
Let's get a good look at you.
There's no. Do we Dark Binding? Stun an enemy and curse it with shackles.
Come here, darling.
I think we do this. I swap my block because I want to shackle the bigger one. This is a permanent buff. We take no damage. Maybe I should have played more with my life total. It's easy to sort of get into the habit of really conserving your life total because it's persistent across adventures, but during the boss fights you can sort of just like play it as though this were a more regular game. Ooh. Yep. Yep, love that. Love that. I think we could go Solari Soldier. Oh, we could Solari Soldier and then kill their Garen. Unfortunately, this lets our Dark Binding go, but still pretty thrilled about the possibility of this. Deal 2 to their face, level up our Vlad.
Do you often make false promises?
Whoa. Never heard that interaction before because no one has ever played a Garen against a Vladimir in the entire history of the game. It has simply never happened. They gave Garen this really wonky buff a couple patches ago. Actually, no, it's not wonky, but it does feel a little bit like he's got an item that says this. No more plays to make. We are going to take our level Vlad and kill almost everything that we possess. Yeah. I think we have pretty clear challenges. And we should be doing lethal. Alright. That went quite well. Vladimir... This would probably only happen in the... Yeah, we've heard that one, Vlad. This would probably only happen in the slower adventures, but I really mean like, you know, the first half. We're talking like up to Victor, really, which is not easy. Not easy fights. I think Vladimir would be a good support champion for Morgana in all of those because the boards kind of stall out more. Things stay on board more persistently. And it's just like, that makes it very easy to heal, to level him, which makes it very easy to level Morgana. I feel somewhat vindicated about this wild inspiration. I mean, it was really good, right? It made us so much mana in the last game. It just, what were the alternatives even? Oh, there was, the best offense. That would have been better. That would have been so much better, this one. It would have done so much more, so many more things. Alright. I was really happy with this. We sort of like saw a lot of games without Morgana, which I think is actually pretty good. We did some games where we targeted and cursed a lot. We did some games where we did like fated aggro. We did lots of games where we did support champion things with Crimson Disciple and Vlad. So this was really fun. I really enjoyed this. We got her up to level 5, so I'm probably going to move on to Nautilus now, I think. And yeah, thanks for watching.